Welcome back to another episode of Solve It with Sir Jude. But today, we will be discussing about direct and inverse variations. So when we talk about direct and inverse variations, they are similar with direct and indirect or inverse proportion. So the first thing that we will discuss, we are going to compare direct variation from inverse variation. Ano nga bang pinagkaiba ng dalawa? So kapag sinabing direct variation, an increase in one quantity will cause an increase to the other quantity at a common ratio. So meaning, kapag yung unang quantity ay tumaas, it will cause an increase to the other quantity. Or the other way around, a decrease in one quantity will cause a decrease to the other quantity, again at a common ratio. So mamaya tatalakayin natin kung ano bang purpose ng common ratio. Ano nga ba si common ratio? Okay? So when we talk about direct, parehas ang direction. Parehas increase or parehas decrease ang nangyayari for the two quantities. How about for inverse variation? So an increase in one quantity, yung pagtaas daw sa una, will cause a decrease to the other quantity at a common product. So meaning, kapag tumaas yung unang quantity, ang mangyayari sa pangalawa, bababa. This time, at a common product. So, or the other way around, a decrease in one quantity will cause an increase to the other quantity at a common product. So if you can see, magkaiba talaga silang dalawa. Okay? So sa direct, meron tayong common ratio, same direction, same increase or same decrease. Pagdating sa inverse, magkaiba yung direction ng quantities. Yung isa tataas, yung isa bababa. Or yung isa bababa, yung isa tataas. But this time at a common product. So what are the examples of direct and inverse variation? Doon muna tayo sa direct variation. So here are some of the examples. The price of the rice and its kilo. Siyempre, the more na mas marami yung kilo na bibilin mong bigas, marami rin or mas mataas din yung babayaran mong presyo. And then, the number of appliances used in a household and the electric consumption. And of course, kapag marami kang appliances na working in your household, for example, meron kang washing machine, meron kang refrigerator, etc., etc., siyempre, what will happen to the electric consumption? The more na mas marami ang electric appliances na nakasaksak at ginagamit, mas marami rin ang electric consumption. And that will also be true kapag konti yung appliances, mababa yung electric consumption. And the radius of the circle and the circumference. Of course, habang lumalaki yung circle, what will happen to the radius? It will also get larger. Okay, how about inverse variations? Here are some of the examples. The number of persons working and the time to finish the job. Of course, the more na mas maraming tao ang gagawa dun sa isang particular work, nagiging makonte yung araw na kailangan nilang i-consume para matapos yung isang work. Like for example, yung cleaners, di ba? The more na mas maraming cleaners, the lesser the time na mako-consume para malinis yung buong room. Another one, the amount or part that will be shared and the number of person sharing. Like for example, meron akong pizza. Kung ako lang mag-isa, malaki yung part ko. Pero pag naging dalawa na kami, naging tatlo, of course, ano nangyayari dun sa part? Lumiliit. The more na mas marami yung mag-share, lumiliit yung part or amount na mapupunta sa bawat isa. And of course, the speed and the time. The more na mas mabilis ang iyong speed, of course, less yung time na makakapunta ka sa isang place. Okay, this time let us focus on direct variation. So when we talk about direct variation, there are signal phrases. Para natin malalaman na direct variation kapag gumamit ng directly proportional to, directly. Next, varies directly as, and is proportional to. So these are three phrases that signify na direct variation yung isang particular statement. Like for example, this variation statement, y varies directly as x. So obviously this is direct variation because we have here varies directly as. Now, this variation statement can be transformed to an equation. So what will be the equation na katumbas nitong y varies directly as x? So that will be y is equal to k times x. So we just need to remember that when we are dealing with direct variation, we are to multiply the constant k to the second quantity. So by the way, k here is the constant of variation. Okay? Ang tawag dyan ay constant of variation. And when we are talking about direct variation, si k ay also known as common ratio din. Okay? So out of y is equal to kx, how are we going to find the ratio, or how are we going to find the value of k? So doing it by dividing both sides by x, kx over x will be k. So therefore, the value of k will be y over x. So yung tinutukoy na common ratio dito will be the value of k, which is y over x. Remember that this y over x is a ratio. Remember that a ratio can also be rewritten in fraction form. So in getting the value of k, we just need to divide the first quantity by the second quantity. Okay. So let us now translate the following variation statements. Number 1, A is directly proportional to B. So the first quantity is A, and then the second quantity is B. So to translate this one, we just need to get the first quantity A is equal to, since directly proportional, we need to multiply the constant k to the second quantity, which is b. So therefore, the translation will be A is equal to k b, or k times b. Next, how about for the second example? The liter of gasoline L varies directly as to the price P. So the first quantity is L, and then the second quantity is P for the price. So get the first quantity, which is L, is equal to, again, direct variation, multiply the constant of variation K by the second quantity, which is P. So therefore, the translation of this variation statement will be L is equal to K times P, or L is equal to KP. Let us have some more examples. Example number 3, M varies directly as the square of P. This time, we have here the square of P. But we are given with the first quantity, which is M, and then the second quantity, which is P. So to translate this one, we have the first quantity, which is M, is equal to, since direct variation, we need to multiply the constant K, or the constant of variation, to the second quantity, which is P. But take note, we have here the condition, the square of P. So therefore, we need to include squared. So therefore, the statement will be M is equal to K P squared. So next, let us have the fourth example. R is proportional to the square root of S. So even though it is not indicated directly proportional lang ang gamit, it is automatic to be direct variation. So the first quantity R is equal to K multiplied by the second quantity S. But take note, there is a condition, square root of S. So that will be square root of S. So we now have the translation, R is equal to K times square root of S. So when is a table of values considered as direct variation? So paano natin malalaman? So if it has a common ratio y over x. So if we are given with a table, kapag pare-parehas yung ratio ni y over x ng bawat column, therefore, direct variation. So let us start. So y over x, so the first pair, so that will be 4 divided by 1. 4, which is y, divided by x, which is 1, so that will be 4 over 1, which is equal to 4. Same process will be done here, so that will be 8 divided by 2, which is equal to 4. So pataas ang pag-divide natin, no? So going from y to x. So next, we have 12 divided by 3, which is 4, and then 16 divided by 4, that will be 4. If you can see, the ratio, kapag sinimplify natin, pare-parehas. So we can now say that it is a direct variation. Sir, ano po yung word dito ay will be the value of our k, or the constant of variation. And out of our standard direct variation equation, which is y is equal to kx, kaya natin mag-formulate ng isang equation. So, ano yung equation? We just need to substitute the constant of variation k, yung value ni k na nakuha natin, which is 4, dito sa mismong general equation, which is y is equal to k times x. So, if that will be the case, the equation that will describe this table will be y is equal to 4x. Paano naman kapag yung graph? So what does the graph of direct variation look like? So it is a part of a straight line from the origin. So ayan, ito yung example natin kanina. So kapag ginraph natin yan, ito yung magiging itsura. Okay? So this will be 1, 4, 2, 8, 3, 12, and 4, 16. Ayan, kapag kapinlat natin itong mga points, it will form a straight line. So pag sinabing graph ng direct variation, if you are going to illustrate, it is a straight line, part of a straight line that will start from the origin. So next, paano naman tayo magsosolve? Let us solve the following problems. Suppose A varies directly as B. If A is equal to 36 when B is equal to 3, find A when B is equal to 7. Kung babasahin, parang nakakalito. Pero gawin natin step by step. So ano yung una natin gagawin? The first thing that we should do is to translate. Sir, ano pong ita-translate? Yung variation statement na given. Ano yung variation statement na given? A varies directly as B. Okay? Diyan kasi magmumula yung ating sagot. So if we are going to translate this one into an equation, that will be A is equal to K times B. Then, we need to solve for the constant of variation. We need to solve for the value of k. Sir, paano po isa-solve yung value ni k? We will be using our A is equal to k times b, the translation, and this statement. Yung isang phrase na parehas ng quantity ay given. Ayan, if A is equal to 36 when B is equal to 3. We just need to substitute. So the value of A is 36 and then the value of B is 3. So, substitute lang natin yan. So, therefore, we now have 36 is equal to k times 3. And that will just be 36 is equal to 3k. Ang hinahanap natin yung value ni k. So, to do that, we need to divide both sides by 3. So, 36 divided by 3, that will be 12. 3k divided by 3, that will be k. So, therefore, the value of k is equal to 12. So, next. Actually, meron ditong shortcut para hindi na tayo dumaan dito sa proseso na to. Remember na ang pagkuha ng constant of variation when we are dealing with direct variation, kailangan lang natin yung ratio. We need to divide the first quantity by the second quantity. So 36 divided by 3, that will be 12. So next, we write the equation using the value of k obtained. So ito yung ating original translation at yung nakuha nating value ni k. We just need to substitute the value of a here to the original translation. And that will be a is equal to 12b. Ayan. Now, we need to solve for the unknown. Using our, ayun, sinubstitute natin kanina, a is equal to 12b, and this phrase, find a when b is equal to 7. So, we need to find a, so a is still 8. When b is equal to 7, so substitute the value of b, which is equal to 7. So that will now be a is equal to 12 times 7. Then, we just need to multiply. 12 times 7, that will be a is equal to 18. Let us now proceed with example number 2. Suppose m is directly proportional to p. If m is equal to 40 when p is equal to 8, find p when m is 20. So the first thing that we should do, translate. Translate the variation statement given by m is directly proportional to p. And that will be m is equal to k times p. Then, we need to solve for the constant of variation k. You can apply the shortcut, pero dun muna tayo sa long method. So, using our original translation, m is equal to kp, we just need to substitute the value of m and p. So that will now be 40 is equal to k times 8. M is 40, so substitute. P is 8, so substitute. Then, it will just 40 is equal to 8k. So to find the value of k, we just need to divide both sides of the equation by 8. 40 divided by 8 is 5. 8k divided by 8 is k. So therefore, we now have the value of k, which is equal to 5. To apply our shortcut, we need the first quantity, which is 40, divided by the second quantity, which is 8. We now have 5. So next, we need to rewrite the equation using the value of k obtained. So using our original equation, translation, k is equal to 5, substitute lang natin. So therefore, we now have m is equal to 5p. And then, out of this, kaya na natin kuhain yung mismong unknown. We need to solve for the unknown. M is equal to 5p. We need to find p when m is 20. So substitute, m is 20. So that will be 20 is equal to 5p. So kung mapapansin nyo, kanina, ang pinag-substitute natin ay katabi agad ng constant. Paano pag yung other side yung given? What are you going to do? Kanina nag-multiply lang tayo agad eh. So, to do this one, we need to get the value of p. We need to divide both sides of the equation by 5. So, 20 divided by 5, that will be 4. 5p divided by 5, that will be p. So, therefore, the final answer is p is equal to 4. So, we are now through with direct variation. Let us now focus on the inverse variation. So, what are the signal phrases? We have inversely proportional to and varies inversely as. So, madali lang tandaan, no? Merong mga words na magkaparehas. Kapag ka direct variation, varies directly proportional. Kapag naman inverse, inversely proportional. Tsaka, varies inversely. So, paano naman tayo magta-translate? So, let us have this variation statement. Y varies inversely as x. So, kapag direct variation, minumultiply natin yung constant at yung second quantity. Paano naman kapag inverse? We need to divide. So, that will be the first quantity, y, is equal to the constant of variation, k, divided by the second quantity, which is x. Okay? So, again, k is known as the constant of variation. But this time, since we are dealing with inverse variation, yung k dito, also known as common product. So, bakit common product? Because if we will be using y is equal to k over x, and we are to get the value of k. So, paano kukuhain yung value ni k? A fraction. We just need to cross multiply. So, y times x, that will be xy. And that will now be the value of k. And if you can see here, we are multiplying the two quantities. Kaya tayo may product. So again, direct variation, ang tawag sa k, common ratio. Pag inverse variation, ang tawag sa k, common product. Let us translate the following variation statements. Number 1. A is inversely proportional to b. The first quantity, which is a, is equal to, since inverse, we need to divide k, the constant of variation, by the second quantity, which is b. So that will be a is equal to k over b. So next, number 2. The number of days d spent in building the house varies inversely to the number of people working p. So the first quantity, which represents the number of days, is d. And then the second quantity, which represents the number of people working, is p. So that will be d is equal to k. Since we are dealing with inversely proportional or varies inversely, that will be divided by the second quantity, which is p. So therefore, we now have d is equal to k over p. So next, let us translate the next statement. D is inversely proportional to f squared. So just get the first quantity is equal to k. Then we need to divide k by the second quantity, which is f squared, since we are dealing with inverse proportion. So therefore, the translation will be d is equal to k over f squared. So next, the last one. M varies inversely as the cube of n. So the first quantity, which is m, is equal to k divided by the second quantity is n. But take note, there is a condition, cube of n. So therefore, that will be n cubed. So next, When is the table of values considered as inverse variation? So, if it has a common product x times y. Kapag kami multiply natin yung values ni x and y doon sa isang column at parehas yung mga na-obtain natin, therefore we can say that the given table is an inverse variation. So, kapag ka-direct kanina, common ratio. Pag inverse, common product. So, let us have this table. We need to multiply x and y. So, this first pair, 1 times 24, that will be 24. Next, 2 times 12, that will also be 24. 3 times 8, that will be 24. And then 4 times 6, that is 24. So therefore, since the product are the same, we can say that it is inverse variation. And the value of k is 24. So out of the standard inverse variation equation, y is equal to k over x na na-obtain natin kanina, therefore, the equation that will describe this table is obtained by substituting the value of k to this y is equal to k over x. So therefore, it will be y is equal to 24 over x. So ano naman ang itsura ng graph ng inverse variation? Kapag ka-direct, part of a straight line coming from the origin. Pag naman inverse variation, it is half of a hyperbola. So, let us now graph this table of values. So, ayan yung magiging itsura niya kapag kinontinue natin yung table. And these are the points, 124, 212, 38, and 46. Let us now solve the following problems. So, number 1, y is inversely proportional to z. If y is equal to 12 when z is equal to 5, find y when z is equal to 2. So we will be using the same process like what we did in direct variation. So una, translate. So anong ita-translate? So that will be y is inversely proportional to z. So since we are dealing with inverse proportion or inverse variation, we need to get the first quantity y, then equate it to k divided by z, which is the second quantity. Then, we need to solve for the value of k. Paano kuhain si constant of variation? So, out of y is equal to k over z, we just need to have this statement, yung parehas na given, yung dalawang quantity, yung value ng dalawang quantity, I mean. So, that will be y is equal to 12, substitute, and then same with z, which is equal to 5. So, that will be 12 is equal to k over 2. So next, we just need to cross multiply 12 times 5, which is equal to k. Then, that will be 60. So, merong shortcut kung katulad nung sa direct variation, kapag ka-inverse since product ang kinukuha, i-multiply naman natin yung dalawa. So, 12 times 5, that will be 60. Okay? So, that will be the shortcut. So, next, so rewrite the equation using the value of k. So, yung original translation natin, which is y is equal to k over z, and then the value of k, which is 60, substitute natin yung value ni k. So, therefore, that will be y is equal to 60 over z. And this one will be used for us to find the unknown. Ano yung unknown? Find y. So, ang hinahanap ay y. When z is equal to 2. So, we just need to substitute z, which is equal to 2. So, we have y is equal to 60 over 2. 60 divided by 2, that will be 30. So therefore, y is equal to 30. So next, let us go to the second example. b is inversely proportional to d. If b is equal to 8, when d is equal to 2, find d when b is equal to 4. So translate. Translate the variation statement b is inversely proportional to d. So that will be b is equal to k over d. Division because inverse variation. So next, we need to solve for the constant of variation. You can use the shortcut, but let us use first the long method. So out of our original translation, we just need to substitute the value of b. The value of b is 8. And then the value of b is 2. So that will be 8 is equal to k over 2. Then, we just need to cross multiply. 8 times 2, that will be equal to k. 8 times 2 is 16, so therefore the value of k is 16. So the shortcut, if it is inverse, we just need to multiply the first and the second quantity. So 8 times 2, that will be 16. So next, we write the equation using the value of k obtained. So this is our original translation, and the value of k that we've got a while ago, we just need to substitute the value of k, which is 16. So that will be b is equal to 16 over d. Then, we need to solve for the unknown. So we need to find d when b is equal to 4. So b is missing and b is equal to 4. We just need to substitute. That will be 4 is equal to 16 divided by d. How are we going to do this one? Kanina kasi, yung denominator given na agad kaya nag-divide tayo. Paano kapag yung other side naman ang ating hahanapin? So, cross-multiply ulit. 4 times d, that will be 4d, which is equal to 16. Bakit naging 16? Remember na ito ay whole number na merong denominator na 1. So, 1 times 16, that will be 16. We just need to divide both sides by 4 to get the value of d. 4d divided by 4 is d. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So, therefore, the value of d is equal to 4. So I hope that you've learned something for today about direct and inverse variations. So for more video, kindly like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more video lessons. The next video lesson is all about combined and joint variation. Good day!